director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, I'm keeping with a little bit of a tradition we have around here. Each and every month, especially from September onward, we've got a group called Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group. They meet each and every third Thursday of the month. And as I try to do, is feature the speaker that's going to be coming in that week. Well, Thursday, this gentleman will be inbound to Pittsburgh. He'll be up at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group. Very appropriate that the group and the theme of the discussion match up for a change, because his topic is cancer. His name is Bill Henderson, and he's written extensively on the subject. He considers himself a lay person, but he's got a pretty tragic initiation for why he's so involved in cancer therapies. And we're going to find out what the Bill Henderson approach is to treating of cancer. Or cancer-free, he calls it. Cancer-free is the name of his book. We'll be talking about more about cancer-free, gentle, non-toxic therapies for cancer, in-home cancer therapies. I read one website where that's in fact how it was billed as, in-home therapies. And we'll be with Bill Henderson right after that first break today. Now, if our discussions, and during our discussions, you want to call in to ask a question or make a comment, the number, of course, as always, will be 412-825-6262, 412-825-6262. The topic is cancer today. All right, let's see. I hope you enjoyed. I really did enjoy bringing to you these last two shows that we have done on the Matrix. It's a device I've been using so long, and just literally not thought it as something special, because I guess I've evolved with it for over such a long period of time that I have failed to mention it. Really had failed to mention on these many shows that I've done, and I was glad I had an opportunity to feature it. So if there is anybody out there who has a pain problem, whether it's acute, well understood as to the cause of it, and you're just needing to get over a hump, to get through a short period of time until you're back on your way again with a full resolution of your pain problem, well, the Matrix is for you. If you have a chronic pain problem for which nobody seems to be able to help you at all, at a minimum, an additional modality able to decrease the amount of pain that you experience and get a considerable amount of relief for even days, sometimes up to weeks, the Matrix device is something I'd recommend to you. So you can give us a call. Come on in to see us. Give us a call at 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002. Come on in to see us, and let's see how that device may work for you. Up and coming now, Wednesday, we're finally going to open it up. Open phones on Wednesday, letting you vent a bit. I've had show after show and for such a long string of them, but we haven't had a time that we could open the phones for you, and we're going to do so on Wednesday. And then next week, two all-stars coming back. One, the star of all stars, Cass Singer, is going to be back with us. He's going to be in England calling us instead of me calling him. He is out of the forest. He's over in London or thereabouts doing something. But we're going to go to the forest because the cure, according to Cass, is always in the forest. We're going to be talking more about that on Monday with him. Then on Wednesday, Mark Underwood's coming back. Now, Mark is a gentleman who identified a calcium-binding protein found in jellyfish not knowing really at the time, I'm sure, what good it was going to do him, he now has developed an entire process and procedure to deal with memory losses, the old Alzheimer issue, which is a pretty scary thing when you come to think about it. He's going to be talking about something called CRS. Are you suffering, he'll say, from CRS, which literally is the buzz, an acronym for Can't Remember Stuff. CRS, Can't Remember Stuff. The product, of course, that we carry, and we carry the professional line of it, is Prevagen. We'll be talking more about Prevagen and memory loss and what to do about it with him. He'll be with us on the 27th as we begin to round out this month that is going by. Hopefully, too, with still the allure of breast cancer awareness in the air, which I certainly am a big fan of. Absolutely a big fan of. Breast cancer assessment, absolutely a big fan of it. Mammograms, oh my goodness gracious, not so much. In fact, not at all. Thermograms, I believe, are the great substitute for them, and hopefully you'll pick up and have an opportunity if not this month, in the nearly up and coming months, to get that kind of a assessment through a non-toxic, no risk factor way, which is by doing a mammogram, and the ability to diagnose these cancers 7 to 10 years before the mammogram ever could be positive. So that's pretty much the way that shakes out. So let's do this. Rather than delaying this any longer, I'm looking forward to get a hold of our guest for today and bring him to you. And let's just find out what these home remedies of cancer therapy are all about. Sort of a prelude for his arrival here in Pittsburgh. Now, I'm bothering him a bit at 5:15 in the morning or thereabouts out in the West Coast. He assured me he'll be perky and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I won't blame him if he's not. He seemed like a nice enough gentleman on the phone when I spoke to him. We're going to get him back in the interim and talk about becoming cancer-free gently in a non-toxic way. Be right back with Bill Henderson.
This is Dennis Jankford. I've become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was it the big top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you want a solid 5 years in a formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Through the Spirit. The blessings of Through the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Through the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Through the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Through the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Monday version of the show in a week that, cancer is in the air. It's everywhere. It is a natural fear of most of all of us. How to deal with it, how to deal with it in a way of sanity and in control, I think is a topic that everybody needs to consider. This week at our Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group on Thursday evening, an expert's coming to town, one who's written extensively on this subject, how to make it cancer-free in a gentle and non-toxic way. How to do that, I believe, is this gentleman's level of expertise. He is well-published, written 3 books. We'll talk about most of them today. He's everywhere. I've seen many a website with his name appearing on it this weekend as I was sort of moving around and trying to learn a bit about him. Let's learn about him together. His name is Bill Henderson. He's with us right now at an ungodly hour of 5:15 in the morning on the West Coast, but he, as he said, is perky and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Bill, thanks for coming aboard this morning, and I apologize once again for the early hour of invasion of your privacy.
No problem, Dr. Courtney. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, you're going to be Pittsburgh-bound this week, and your reputation and your written word precedes you by quite a bit, because it turns out you've got quite a bit to say about this issue of cancer. Tell us a bit, however, about yourself personally, and I guess there's some tragic roots to why you're so entrenched in this topic of cancer. Fill us in, if you could, a bit on your past history, and how you came to be so passionately involved with the treatment of cancer.
Yeah, thank you. I am not a medical professional. I should give people a little disclaimer up front, I guess. I do work with a lot of people today on the phone, 2 or 3 people all over the world, helping them with information on how to go about dealing with cancer. And that information is just what I've gathered in about 12 years, I guess, starting in about 1988, researching cancer and trying to organize information that might help people deal with it in a natural way without chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, etc. This grew out of my experience with my former wife. Back in the early 90s, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. 1990, as a matter of fact, and 4 years later, in 1994, she passed away. During those 4 years, we had a horrible experience with the cancer treatment system, with chemotherapy, several operations, lots of pain medication, etc. And her experience is what I guess drives me to help other people attempt to avoid.
That experience evidently was not too pleasant to watch, let alone experience in your wife's situation, never gone through it. Ovarian cancer, as I know it too, is one usually discovered usually late. And the 3 modalities that were available to her then are the same 3 available to those who might suffer from a conventional viewpoint, which is in the vernacular, cut, poison, and burn. And I'm sure your wife is exposed to all 3 of those: surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. Fair enough said, Bill?
Yeah, she didn't have any radiation, but she had several different types of chemo tried when the cancer recurred. Initially, of course, it was brought into some sort of remission, as it usually is with the conventional treatment. Usually results in some response. And this is the measure, as you probably know, that the cancer doctors use for success. You know, does the tumor or whatever is involved with the cancer, does it respond?
Well, that famous shrinking of the tumor, huh? Remission.
Right. But it almost always, in my experience, comes back when that kind of treatment is used. And, of course, this is not success as far as I'm concerned.
Well, with the tragedy of your first wife passing away from this, at what point did you pick up the gauntlet and say, I have got to, you either said, I've got to learn more, or I can't allow anybody else to go through what she went through? And then where did you go? How? Because now you devoted 12 years, you say, to working in this area. How did you start? Where did you start?
Well, I started with working with a friend of my family. I had remarried at the time. This was in 1998. And a friend of ours had breast cancer that had recurred, and she was in what they call stage 4, then quite a bit of chemo. And my reading at the time really intrigued me because I found something that seemed to be a natural way to overcome this, and it's something called MGN3 at the time. It's an immune-boosting product, and I read about it in a newsletter by Dr. David Williams, who I still read, by the way, a wonderful holistic physician. And I pointed this out to her, and she was interested, and she was a smoker, and she was continuing to smoke. So I said, to her, look, if you will stop smoking and stop promoting this, I will help you with this product, because she didn't have much money at the time, and it was a rather expensive product. So I did help her, and she got well. She got over the cancer, stage 4 breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
Metastasized around her body. And she got well in a matter of a couple of months. And, that intrigued me, of course, and unfortunately, a couple of months later, she started smoking again, and the cancer came back, and she went downhill, and eventually didn't survive. She survived for about a year and a half or so. But her situation did intrigue me, because I felt at the time, with the internet just starting up, really, and starting to get some information about cancer, that there might be information here that would help other people overcome this without having to go through what she went through.
And so off you were then to explore the information, and true, the internet literally exploded in that time frame. And so this information became more available, and that turns out to be the basis by which you went to learn where to learn more, I'm guessing.
Sure, yeah, and I did begin to compile information and do some fairly systematic research, and eventually decided to put it in an ebook form in 2000. I guess it was May of 2000 I first published an ebook online. And even then, there was enough interest in that I was getting a lot of people were signing up for a mailing list that I had, and were buying the ebook and so on. And it was obvious this was an audience that was already pretty large and was growing. So I essentially devoted myself from about 2000 up till today in bringing this information to as many people as I can.
So you provided the means by which information could be disseminated. You sort of pulled it from various sources, and in that context, wrote your own book. You say an ebook. You're now 3 books into this, right? You have written 3 books on the subject.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, this first one I called "Cure Your Cancer," which I kind of reconsidered after a couple of years, because I firmly believe, Dr. Courtney, that there is no need to cure cancer ever, and the search for a cure is just simply ridiculous. Cancer is an everyday situation. Every one of us have cancer cells every day.
True, very true.
I do, etc. So curing cancer is misleading. You don't cure it. You simply get your metabolism back under control, so the number of cancer cells being produced by your body are capable of being handled by your immune system. That's what healing cancer is all about.
Yeah, you certainly bring a point that I try to bring to my patients every single time I meet with one who is identified as suffering from cancer, because the true fact is, every day of their lives, for as long as they've been on the planet, they generated malignant cells, and their immune system worked beautifully for all those years. And then one day, a group of cells got through. Now, why that happened, we may theorize and maybe either differ or confer, but nonetheless, the immune system is usually able to handle this and does a quite great job of it for quite a while. And so you're telling me then that with trying to cure cancer, you say that's the wrong road to travel. That literally if you can allow your immune system to keep on doing what it can do, you'd probably be ahead of the game. Is that fair enough to say?
That's correct, yes. Healing, and this word has some overtones to it that people maybe object to occasionally, but healing cancer is all about getting your body back in balance. That's really the key here, and if people can understand that, of course, balance is a fairly complex issue about the human body because there are a lot of things involved in that. But I try to boil it down in the later books I've written. Cancer Free is the most current one in the full format. Cancer Free, I talk about getting your body back in balance by dealing with two major issues. One is deficiencies of all kinds. We're mostly deficient in things like omega-3 essential fatty acids, for example, in our cells, vitamin D3, selenium, potassium, magnesium, all kinds of things that our cells need to operate efficiently. We're deficient in because of our diet, primarily. The other is toxins. Toxins come from two primary sources, in my opinion. See what you think. They come primarily from our food and from our mouth. From the toxins coming out of our jaw are serious challenges to our health.
Well, you won't find a disagreement with me with respect to this toxicity issue. I mean, these are the two forces, are they not, that literally weigh in to provoke every single disease, not just cancer, that if you try to find the common denominator of any disease that you may mention, it's this interplay, this playing off of this imbalance that occurs between what you need to have to take in and what you have too little of and what you have too much of. That'd be a fair way to reduce it, wouldn't it, Bill?
Absolutely. There are other factors, obviously. For example, I find in talking to people on the phone, as I do every day about cancers, that emotional issues are a big contributing factor to overcoming what the immune system can handle. I call it the tipping point, which is nothing particularly original, but people basically all their lives abuse their body in various ways with the type of things that they put in their mouth, but they also abuse it with stress, which of course causes cortisol, which is a very acid substance. It's a hormone that the body produces to cope with stress. So emotional issues of all kinds contribute to weakening the immune system and making your body more acid. Those are two very likely things for cancer to proliferate. So those are a couple of issues that I always discuss with people. Emotional issues that they may have not resolved entirely. And most of the time they're unaware of it because most of this is subconscious stuff we're not aware of from our past. And dental toxins. Those are the two primary things other than what we put in our mouth that I find are the major causes, if you will, of cancer.
This dental issue, let's focus a little bit on it. I'm pretty conversant with it, and I would imagine that root canals and cavitations are the two most toxic dental outcomes to come from well-intended dentists trying to help you.
Yeah, that's right. Save the tooth at all costs.
Yeah.
Well, that cost with root canal fillings, at least, is frequently the person's life. That's what I've found.
You finding it to be pretty much common to all cancers that there's got to be a dental component? Is it pretty much 100%?
I would say 95%.
95%. That's really up there, pretty high.
There are exceptions. It's very, very few.
And so between root canals and cavitations, I mean, everyone's had a tooth extracted, and no dentists are taught to remove the periodontal ligament on extraction, so you're still off to the races with a ligament that's going to decompose, and have anaerobic infections develop from it, as similarly as you do with doing a root canal and having a dead tooth in place. Dead, putrefies, decays, and anaerobic organisms take over. And boy, when that happens, all the bad stuff can be expected to occur. Finding a dentist, there are a few of them that are trained. Most dentists you cannot have a conversation with about either. Fair enough said, Bill?
Yeah, that's very true. I try to refer people to good dentists, but frankly, a couple of statistics here. There are 160,000 dentists in the American Dental Association. In my opinion, less than 80 of those are competent to do what you just described.
Yeah, you pretty much have to be a disciple of the great Hal Huggins and been trained by him in order to be able to handle it.
Yeah, a few of them, have done it without Hal's help, but very, very few.
Okay, so we got an agreement, you and I, right on these three issues of deficiencies, toxicities, and emotional. I'm with you 100%. You say that you have the correct 4 conditions. I was looking on the internet, I was looking on your website, 4 conditions. We might as well get on through the 4 when you're going to do. By the way, people at this stage of the game are usually now have a cancer. In other words, people get, this is a nice general discussion that one needs to be listening to now when you don't have a cancer, but people are calling you in the throes of their major life crisis, which they have a cancer now. And so all these issues are issues that could have been handled at another time, yet they weren't, and now you say that by dealing with them now, they still can win in this game. Is that a fair enough assessment of what you believe to be true? Okay.
I believe that because I've seen so many people recover from people given up on completely by the cancer doctors, the oncologists, radiologists, etc. Give up on them, send them home with a death sentence of some kind, and they recover. People who've been in hospice officially declared within 6 months of death, and they recover and live on for years. I never give up on anyone as far as their ability to heal themselves. But what's important, of course, is for them to understand that it is their job. This is not some job of some physician. No, they have to take charge of their own health care and recognize that only they can heal themselves. And once they get to that point, attitude department, they're pretty well on the road to recovery as far as I can go.
Okay, so you need, if you have a cancer, folks, to, Bill thinks, correct 4 conditions. I get this right out of your book, Bill, so I say let's go through them and get your opinion, brief as it may be now, because I know you want to elaborate on every one of these when you do come to town. But a weak immune system, you say, is number 1 on your list. You got to be able to correct that as a condition. A few words about it. How can you do it? How quickly could you do it? How do you do it?
Yeah, fortunately, there are lots of supplements which help to strengthen the immune system. I've looked at a dozen or so of them, and they've been studied in independent labs. The one I recommend currently is something called transfer point beta-glucan, which is a particular type of beta-glucan that is very effective at activating what are called the neutrophil cells in the immune system to recognize cancer. And that's the main reason I recommend that. It's a capsule that people take one capsule once a day for each 50 pounds of body weight. So for the average person, it's 3 or 4 capsules a day until they get well, and then what I take is 1 capsule. It's for maintenance.
Well, beta-glucan stimulates the release of glucophages and help really like a giant garbage collectors and go around chewing up waste located throughout the body. Is that a vernacular way of describing what the beta-glucan does in this case?
Yes, very, very accurate. This particular type has been researched by a gentleman who I know quite well, who's an expert on the immune system, and he found that this particular type of beta-glucan, and He told me the word gluten, by the way, is like the word paint. In other words, there's lots of beta-glucan products on the market, most of which don't have this particular feature. But this particular one activates a receptor on the neutrophil cells, which happen to be about 60% of your immune system cells, to recognize cancer cells. And these neutrophil cells normally are not active in the search for cancer cells. So this is a very powerful improvement in the immune system's efficiency.
Well, that certainly is the first time I've ever heard beta-glucan used with being able to activate a kind of neutrophil that attacks cancers only. That's interesting. Very interesting. How about the next one on this list of conditions that you must correct? A lack of oxygen utilized by the cells. Now, there you go. There's a big mouthful there. How do you go about that?
Well, some people think that you can take hydrogen peroxide or ozone or something to increase the oxygen in your bloodstream and overcome cancer. I don't particularly buy into that. I think the main problem with cancer patients is not the oxygen level in the bloodstream. It's the uptake of the oxygen by the cells. And this is what needs to be corrected. And what I recommend, which is the cottage cheese flaxseed oil mixture, which we can talk about if you like, does reform the cell membrane to make it more permeable and pick up more oxygen and breathe out more energy, ATP, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, it makes the cell more efficient. And this is why we get sick. Cells break down, the cells malfunction and can't communicate well. And if you can fix that, you're on the road to recovery.
Now, by fixing it, you're saying that the cancer cell is the one that responds from this approach, or just the healthy cell? And I can understand how you might be able to help clean up the healthy cell. The cancer cell is so laden with that proteolytic coating around it is virtually impenetrable, right? We're talking about the cancer cell responding in this way?
No. The normal cell. This is talking about rebuilding your normal cell.
The normal cell.
To make them more healthy. This particular substance, cottage cheese flaxseed oil that I recommend, so-called Budwig protocol, does in fact kill cancer cells at the same time by attracting oxygen to them. And of course, cancer cells they don't like oxygen, so they tend to not survive that environment. But the main thing it does is reform the cell membrane of the normal cells and make them more efficient at breathing in oxygen.
So that's what I didn't know what the Budwig protocol was, and now you have revealed it to me. Thank you so much. You've solved another mystery for me, Bill. Okay, next.
It's a combination. Just one comment here. It's
Sure.
a combination of an efficient carrier, which is, of course, the cottage cheese. It's what's called a sulfurated protein. And Dr. Budwig's, back in the 50s and 60s, she really researched lipids and how the body handles fats and so on, and found that this was the most efficient carrier of this omega-3 loaded flaxseed oil, which the cells need dramatically. They're very efficient in. And this cottage cheese carries the oil to the cells very efficiently once the two are mixed together well. And I found this works. She's right, as far as I'm concerned. Very, it's kind of the core of the regimen that I recommend for people.
Wonderful. Next up, deal with the excessive toxins. It certainly was something you described initially, where deficiencies, toxicity, and the emotional component probably leads you to developing the cancer to begin with. So how are you going to be dealing with the excessive toxins? What's the remedy that you see as being the best for that?
The first thing, of course, that people need to do is develop a good game plan, what I call a strategy, military guy, for approaching the cancer. And one of the main things is to try and figure out what caused it and deal with that. And we're talking about dental toxins here, emotional issues. Both of them need to be dealt with if you're going to get over the cancer. So that getting rid of the toxins, as far as I'm concerned, two things are involved. One is to clean up your jaw. The a very competent dentist. And the second, of course, is to deal with the problem of toxins coming from your food. Revise your diet dramatically in this case.
Okay. It certainly makes sense, and in keeping with what you had already mentioned, find that dentist. So difficult to find. They are available in the Pittsburgh area, folks, but there are only a few, believe you me. The final component is certainly one I hear used by patients a lot, this ability to contend with acidity and the fact that a person with cancer is so acidified. How do we get that turned around?
Well, there happens to be a great product that I recommend to people. It's called Barley Power. It's a little green pill put together by a company just north of where you are, in Wilmington, PA. Wonderful group of people called Green Supreme, and I'm not an ad for them, but I like these folks because the product that they produce, the Barley Power little pills, are cold processed from the barley leaves into these pills that retain all the properties of the barley product. And believe me, those are incredible. It's really literally almost every enzyme in the human body is in barley properly processed like this. We're not talking about the grain here. We're talking about the barley leaf of young barley. The other things it has, of course, is a huge dose of alkalinity, which we're talking about here, and about 72 trace minerals and some amino acids and so on. So it's a very, very healthy product to take, and I recommend cancer patients work their way up 18 or 20 of the pills every day, and it does reform their acid-alkaline balance and get them alkaline. And once they get well, of course, they can back off to the maintenance dose, which I do every day, about 6 or 8 of them. They're very helpful to keep your body out.
Do you have patients monitor their alkalinity and acidity with pH paper?
Yes. And a little strip under the tongue. I like to recommend that people use their saliva rather than their urine to test pH. But first thing in the morning, if you can get your saliva up to somewhere 6.4 or higher, is what I recommend. That's what they call the alkaline stores after you slept all night. So that's a pretty good level. Mine's around 6.8. A healthy level of alkaline.
So with managing these processes, each and every one of which, I mean, this is sort of the do it at home, how to deal with cancer on your own. In no instance up to this point have you ever mentioned contact with the conventional medical community at all. And is that by design, or is that by omission or commission?
Well, it's by commission, really, because I've seen the tragedies that occur from that contact. But certainly I encourage people to get a medical professional that they can work with. And in fact, I provided in my book about 11 different online directories of holistic physicians. ACAM is an example that you're probably familiar with.
Sure, absolutely.
Most of the physicians who belong to that organization, as an example, are holistic physicians that people can use. They're not cancer doctors in the sense of being a specialist, but they treat people with cancer. They help them recover. So it is helpful to have a holistic physician, certainly, to work with it. And in some cases, it's helpful to have the type of tests that can be done by oncologists. But you have to recognize that they have no answer for cancer. They have no way to heal you. So don't look to them for that.
Now, with the current book, Cancer Free, and by the way, you team that up with Gentle Non-Toxic. So it's cancer free by using gentle non-toxic approaches. Talk to me about the book. Tell us how to get that book, where it can be found. I know you have an ebook version as well as a handheld version. Take the time and the moment to fill in that gap for us.
Sure. There is an ebook paperback version. It's about 40-some pages. And they're both available on Amazon.com and at my website, which is called Beating, B-E-A-T-I-N-G, Cancer, Gently, GENTLY.com. And you have to put hyphens between the words to get some goofy website.
Okay.
BeatingCancerGently.com, hyphens. Or if people want to come to the meeting on Thursday night, which we can go about, there'll be copies of the book there, which will be sold at a substantial discount from what you pay to Amazon.com.
Normally the cost of the book is $27, I think. Am I right?
Yeah, that's the ebook version. The paperback version is $37 online. It's available for substantially less than Thursday night at this meeting.
There you go, folks. Here's where to get the book a lot cheaper. Just take it right up there. By the way, it's the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group. They're going to be meeting up at the Days Inn, just south of Butler, Route 8, on the right-hand side, 7 o'clock. Bill's going to be there with many of these books in hand and at a substantial discount in the price as to the ones you've heard so far. But if you can't make it up there, Bill, that's where they can buy the book. Where do they get the ebook?
Yeah, the ebook's available at the same source, really. The website probably is the best way to go on that. And it's an instant download, obviously, which some people don't mind reading ebooks on the computer. I personally feel that that's a little bit tough on the eyes. And, of course, you can print it out after you download it if you like, or print out portions of it. But the paperback book is the way lots of people like to get a book that they can hold in their lap, so either one's
Okay. His name is Bill Henderson, folks, and as you can tell, he's got some really good advice on how to deal with cancer, whether you don't have it or whether you do. Bill says, hey, I've seen a lot of people turn around with this particular approach. What I'd like to do, Bill, is take just a short break. I'm going to invite, if you don't mind, anybody who wants to call in and ask a question and make a comment to do so. Do you have a problem with that?
Sure, I'd be delighted.
Okay, I'll take a short break. We're with Bill Henderson. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to be talking about his simple approach, 4-step approach to how to deal with that cancer today. And your questions, too. We'll field them 412-825-6262. And we'll be back in a moment.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu with Wonder Soy, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural whole fruit puree made from fresh fruit native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health, here on a Monday morning version of the show. We're here today with a special guest, actually an invited guest, coming to the city of Pittsburgh from the West Coast this week, in fact, on Thursday evening. He'll be at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group's monthly meeting, always held on the third Thursday of the month, at the Days Inn, just south of Butler on Route 8, 7 p.m. sharp. He will take to the podium, and he'll be there quite a while, I'm sure. His name is Bill Henderson. He's got quite a long history behind him and how he came to become interested and be very passionate about the treatment of cancer. 3 books now written. The one we just mentioned, Beating Cancer-Free, Beating Cancer Gently, at his website, beatingcancergently.com. We're learning more about his patented approach to the treatment of cancer, and we have him with us today. Good morning, Bill. Welcome back, my friend.
Yes, glad to be here, Doc. Thank you very much.
We got a knock on the door already, Bill. They want to get at you. Do you mind taking a question?
Not at all.
Come on right ahead. You're with Bill Henderson. Go right ahead. What's your question?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney. I was wondering, does your guest also recommend yogurt with the flaxseed oil or just cottage cheese?
Okay, what do you think, Bill? Cottage cheese product or?
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good question. Undoctored yogurt works as a carrier in flaxseed oil. Unfortunately, Dr. Ludwig found that you need about 3 times as much of it as you do the cottage cheese in order for it to be as efficient. Most people balk at eating that much of this kind of mixture. Come out around 2 cups or so a day. The cottage cheese flaxseed oil works out to about a cup or a little less.
Oh, okay, so 1 cup of the cottage cheese, but if you use yogurt, it would be 3 times as much. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
They're already on your page, Bill. Great question. I can see how you're saying the cottage cheese drives the flaxseed oil into the cell. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a carrier. That's what she found, that mixed together, the 2 form a unique molecule, which interestingly has no dairy property. Casein and lactose in the cottage cheese disappear when it's mixed well with the oil, and the oil becomes water soluble when it's mixed with the cottage cheese, so that those 2 combinations make this a very, very healthy molecule for your cells, because it delivers this omega-3 essential fatty acid that we're all deficient in to the cell membrane, but it also gets into the cell nucleus, which also needs the same thing. So between the 2, they make the cells much more efficient, and that's how we get well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and these are all of the effects on to the healthy cells, really not directed to the cancer cells. Am I still right about that?
Well, there's sort of a side effect of this same mixture, which is that oxygen caused by this mixture to get attracted to cancer cells makes them unhappy, and they die off as a result of overload of oxygen. So it does both, really, but the primary function, as far as I'm concerned, is reforming the healthy cell.
Okie doke. I hear another knock at the door. I'm going to let you come right on in while we're still doing rapid fire questioning. Go right ahead. You're with Mr. Bill Henderson. Go right ahead.
Hi, Doctor, and Bill, fascinating information. My question is, you mentioned that you need to clean up the jaw also, and I'm wondering, do you have any natural ways using homeopathic herbs, anything other than just going to the dentist's office and getting taken care of? Do you have any other possibilities of cleaning up your jaw?
Well, unfortunately, the dental experts I've talked to, we mentioned Dr. Hal Huggins earlier, who is one of the most respected educators of dentists in this regard. He has told me that there really is no way to clean up the jaw without removing teeth that have had root canal procedures done on them, and of course doing surgery on the parts of the jaw where mostly wisdom tooth removal has resulted in what's called a cavitation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no way, for example, I've heard people talk about ozone as one way to make the jaw more healthy. And another way, of course, is a laser of some kind. And Dr. Huggins poo-poos both of those as being very temporary.
Okay, well, I was hoping.
All right. Thank you very much, Faith.
Yeah, dental work is pretty expensive and not particularly pleasant, although it's become a lot more pleasant than it used to be with something called conscious sedation, which is most of these dentists use that type of sedation, which is very, very comfortable.
Oh.
I've been through it myself about 4 months ago.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Very good. I'm an anesthesiologist, doctor, and the use of conscious sedation, right up my line, Bill. Right up my line. Feel very comfortable in administering it as well as receiving it.
Oh, it's good. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, you have no...
I was in the dentist chair for 6 hours, if you can believe this, having all my fillings replaced and a couple of cavitation sites cleaned up. And I got up twice and went to the bathroom during this process, and I don't remember anything about it.
Very well said. Yeah, that was a properly administered IV sedation. So we come down to really what you consider a 4-step approach to eradicating a cancer. Step 1, pretty easy, Bill. You say buy the book and I guess read that doggone thing. Then number 2, you say test the level of cancer cells. Here's where I'm going to let you take over for just a minute and talk about how do you do that? How do you recommend testing for cancer?
Well, of course, there are lots of tests that are done. People are probably familiar with the CT scan, so-called PET scan, MRIs, etc. Quite expensive. The CT PET scans involve lots of radiation, which is very harmful and carcinogenic. So it's good to avoid that type of invasive test if you can. The cancer blood test, the blood marker in the blood, is usually not very reliable. It tends to spike up, for example, when the cancer cells are dying off. So I don't really want people to rely on those if you can avoid it. But there are a couple of tests that are non-invasive that people can do themselves without any interference or any help from a medical professional or physician. One of them is what's called an HCG urine test. It's done in a clinic in Manila, in the Philippines. It's the only clinic I know of in the world that does this type of test on urine sediment. HCG is simply a hormone called the human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, which they discovered. The father, actually, of the gentleman who runs this clinic in Manila, discovered back in the 50s, along with Professor Beard, that they could test the urine from the sediment and find the level of abnormally dividing cells in the body, which, of course, if you're not pregnant, are cancer cells. So this particular test works for men and women both, and works quite effectively. And I've seen hundreds of results from this test. They're quite reliable, they're quite accurate. And what the test gives you is a single number, which is very helpful because, unlike a lot of the other tests, they're not ambiguous. If the number says this is your level of abnormally dividing cells, for example, 57. Well, if the next test, 6 or so weeks later, shows the number is 55, you can be pretty sure that what you're doing is working. That's really about all you need to know about cancer. So I like that test very much. There's another one I can mention if you like.
I'll let you mention it, and then I want to come back to the HCG, but go ahead, what's the other test that you would use?
The other one I tried myself last month in September to kind of validate the HCG test, which I did at the same time. And it's at a website you can go to. The website is simply utest, utestu.com. And what they have is a blood test that measures a particular a substance in the blood they've discovered, which is an indicator, again, of the level of cancer in the body. And I had these two tests done for myself here about a month ago and found that they agreed with each other. So, I mean, I've done the HCG urine test. This is about the third time I've done it in 2 years. And the level has always shown that I have no cancer to be concerned about. The blood test, the utestview.com blood test showed the same thing. It's a little more expensive, HCG urine test, and it's done here in the United States.
And what's the marker they're looking for, or do you know?
Well, it's a particular thing in the blood, which I can't recall at this time exactly the technical name for it. It's at that website. It's up, and it's quite accurate, apparently. It indicated exactly the same thing as the HCG urine test, at least for me.
Now, the HCG, in my understanding of HCG, I'm pretty familiar with it. First of all, I noticed in going to the website where you can actually order the test from the Philippines that they say urine test is the most accurate and blood test isn't as accurate, and really by a long shot. So the issue of what I've read is that anytime it's being checked for by the conventional medical community, who runs HCG levels all the time. By the way, it is your body's, that when they ask for a pregnancy test, that's what they're asking for, HCG level. So the conventional medical community is quite comfortable with measuring HCG levels, and they don't ever use urine, they always use the blood. And do you understand any reasoning why the urine and not the blood is so much more accurate? Because it certainly doesn't match up to what I understand about it.
Well, it's the way I've read about it, the way the fluids are processed, the way the urine is processed does not get rid of this marker the way the blood process works. And, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not able to explain it more technically.
I tell you, it's not fair to be asking you questions regarding the little idiosyncrasies of laboratory work. Look, Bill, we got bongos in the background, which that signifies our time out of here today. I wish I had much more time to spend with you, and there's going to be a way for all of you, ladies and gentlemen, to see this gentleman up at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group this Thursday. We'll be there at 7 p.m. Bring a couple extra dollars with you to buy that book and be entertained by Bill Henderson. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Courtney. I really appreciate you having me on today.
There you go. Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed today's show. See you on Wednesday. We're going to open the phones up on Wednesday. Till then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724